Kanye went on a tirade, posting a bunch of things on Instagram about Yeezy, about Gap, about Kim, about Pete, about Young Thug, about his children, and now he's trending worldwide. And it's funny to me how people seem to never really catch on to what is actually going on here. First, let's look at some of the posts. Ask Pete how those tattoos of my kids are doing in the trauma unit. Because people love a good Skeet and Kanye beef. We gotta get Thug out of jail. Just sent this to Kim. Because Kanye knew that getting Thug out of jail would be a good trending topic, and who knows, maybe he actually is going to try. I have no idea if that's even possible or if he has that power. Probably not. My kids are going to Donda. They are not going to Sierra Canyon, which is like school for famous kids in LA. Charlemagne the God and Chris, get your popcorn. I don't know. We need to talk in person. You don't have say-so of where the kids go to school. Why you get say-say? Because you half white? Y'all don't have say-so over my black children and where they go to school. They will not do Playboy and sex tapes. Tell your Clinton friends to come get me. I'm here. Don't let Chris make you do Playboy like she made Kyle and Kim do. Hollywood is a giant destroyed my family. I deal with addiction. Instagram promotes it. Not gonna let it happen to Northie in Chicago. I really do think that Kanye does care about his kids. He knows that Hollywood is a trap for people to participate in devilish and maybe immoral behavior, and as a man of God, he doesn't want his kids to be subject to that. And I do agree that Hollywood does kind of promote that behavior and people kind of fall victim to it, whether it's intentional or unintentional. He does deserve a say in what his kids will be exposed to. However, Kanye knew who the Kardashians were. He knew what their lifestyle is like. He knew everything about them when he got mixed in with them, and he heavily benefited from their life, from their status, all the value that they provide. And he knew this. He literally talks about this. And he chose to have multiple children with Kim. So it's kind of hard for him to play the victim now when he knew that this could all happen. But the real reason why any of this is happening is because things aren't going his way at Gap. Now, I made a video last year on my main channel that barely anybody watched about how Donda was just mostly promotion for his Yeezy Gap line, in which he sold millions of dollars in clothing and secured the biggest clothing deal partnership with Gap of his entire life. Basically everything he's been hoping and dreaming for. I still believe that Donda was only made, or at least only finished and put out in the way that it was in order to push his clothing. People don't want to accept it, but Kanye himself has been saying for over a decade that his clothing is more important than his music. He only does music to stay relevant and uses that relevancy to push his clothing. I know that you're a Kanye stan, but it's just true. Like, he's talked about it for a decade. So when he speaks about his children, yes, I do know that he cares, but he uses that attention to put that focus onto other things like clothing and to get his word out and to show these people the type of power that he has. But I believe that power and that relevance is kind of dwindling because less people are falling for it. The new Yeezy, Balenciaga, and Gap line has been heavily promoted since about April. You can even go on the website and scroll through all of the products, but this isn't a pre-order. You can't buy any of these products yet. You can only join a wait list, which is basically just an email list. And they're selling a shirt that looks exactly like the collaboration, and it's way cheaper because they are going to make more profit on this shirt right here than probably the entire collaboration with Kanye. So they're intercepting the bag. But what else would you expect from a major corporation? And on top of that, this video was leaked where he's talking to a bunch of people at Gap. I don't know if they're executives. I don't know who these people are. And I also don't know why the crop on the video is so terrible. All of you guys know this. Kanye looks at this Yeezy brand as how he's going to change the world. This is like a divine mission for him. This isn't just like him promoting some merch.
This is not celebrity marketing. This is not a collaboration. This is a life mission. My family shows up to, and then, kids are buying, Gap from, thrift stores. It's not going to save the Gap. It's not enough.
Basically, he tells these people that work at Gap to their face that people buying Gap from thrift stores, which is mostly what the aesthetic and what the vibe is in streetwear, nobody's going to Gap and buying brand new stuff. They're finding the old vintage stuff from the thrift bins and they're wearing it and it's like cool. But he's saying like, that's not going to save your brand. Like, you guys need to sell new shit if you want to stay relevant. And they're all looking at him because they know he's right.
We canceled the pre-order of the blue jacket. That's insane. I brought 3 million emails over from Adidas, and we didn't use them. That's insane. That's insane. We sold 14 million hoodies at $80 with no logo on it off of one commercial and never ran the commercial again. That's insane.
The Yeezy Gap clothing is clearly selling, but for some reason they're not like doubling down on it and giving him the resources to be able to sell more of this clothing. Why? No idea. Maybe because there's just not that much profit on their end. Maybe they would rather just they have him on the sidelines. Yeah, okay, we're making $10-15 million, but if we can just intercept you and throw out this, this bootleg Gap shirt, we can make $3-4 million off that anyway. So every time you hype up a release, maybe we'll just start throwing out bootlegs. And obviously that would infuriate him, because it's like, why sell the bootlegs when we could just sell more of the real thing? Then he'll get way too much power over the company, and then their branding just becomes not necessarily Gap, but Yeezy Gap. So obviously they don't want to give him that power.
This is the moment. There'll never be an opportunity with a guy like me that cares this much about specifically this brand and has done this up to this point.
Basically what he said there is there's never going to be another time where we can basically sell this much product. Nobody's going to be as influential as Kanye and at the same time actually give a shit about Gap to want to promote their brand and basically revive it. And I think that Kanye knows that his relevance and his grip on the culture is steadily declining as he goes towards 50. And I know that a lot of you don't want to agree with that, but it's just the truth. He's just not even going to want to have the drive. He's not going to have the #1 single all the time. And, especially with the performance of his more recent albums and the performance of albums in general, like, people's interest is going down. So now really is the time for him to capitalize on this Yeezy Gap stuff. And I think that every time, for the most part, that he goes on these social media tirades, it's to achieve this. He wants to sell clothing. It's his divine purpose. It's everything he's been wanting to do for the past decade. All I'm saying is, next time he's trending, look into it. There's probably something clothing related buried in there.